Yes, we're streaming live on OBS, and as we're working out the kinks, every day is a new day. We just hit transition, and then now we should be live. We're seeing me. If you can hear me, give me a thumbs up. If you can see us, let us know in the chat. Remember to hit that like button. Remember to hit the subscribe button. Oh, yes. Big news. When we started, I had a target to hit a 1 million views by next year, May. Tonight, we are at 999,300 views. So just 700 views shy of that $1 million, right? That's nice. 1 million views mark with over 4,135 subscribers. So that is made all possible by you guys. So appreciate your love, appreciate your support. Again, share it with a friend, especially tonight. If something that we say or talk about here resonates with you, share it. Don't just keep it to yourself as we grow, as we strengthen. And this is something that we're going to be working on each month. The last Monday of every month is going to be Money Mondays. Today is Money Mondays, where we talk about money so we can understand it better, make it work for us so that we can protect and provide for our families. And with that, sir, who are you and why do you have a Benz mouse?
Oh my God. Yes, good evening, everyone. My name is Linville Johnson, and I am a banker by profession. My mouse just have, this was a gift, by the way, I got some years ago, and a gift I quite appreciate.
There you go. But it keeps it in front of you. And what do you drive, by the way?
A car.
All right, so we won't get too deep. You're going to tell us how to live the life that we are comfortable with, live the life that we want to live. And this is set against the backdrop of 95% of persons get to the end of their life, well, the end of their work life, and are not prepared to stop working. They get there and they can't, some of them 36% can't stop working, or they go into poverty, and the rest of us have to rely on the kindness of strangers or other persons in society.
Or the government.
How do we avoid that? How do we prevent that? And how do we teach our children so that we can create generational wealth? That's what we're going to be talking about today. So, what do you have for us?
Well, today it dovetails pretty well into what you're saying here. What we're looking at are those three things. I've done some research recently. Top three things that's ruining your finances.
Bad habits.
And what I found is that this is a part of everybody's life, right? It's not just the rich, it's everybody's life, right? And so of these three things, each on their own is a big deal.
Yes.
Right? But in combination, it's devastating.
Wow.
Right? Just if you think about it, it's like having cancer, diabetes, and hypertension
all in one go.
Right? But even so, having any one of those
is in and of itself,
right?
Yes. So you should be listening closely, listening carefully, because if you have one, that's devastating. If you have two, that's even worse. And if you have three, that sounds rough. But I'm sure that at some point you're going to tell us how to navigate from those things, even if you're already in that space.
Absolutely.
All right. So you said these things are devastating by themselves individually, and you talked about habits. So what I'm getting from that is, in many cases, it's not how much you make, where you work, or whether or not your parents left you with money. It sounds like it's our habits, the things that we do every day, that is keeping us in the poorhouse.
That is absolutely so. We make our habits, and then our habits make us, as they say. Yes.
All right. So just give persons, if someone's listening and they want to get up, just kind of give them a bird's eye view. What are the three things that we're looking at today?
All right. So I was just wondering what is causing us to be where we are today, right? And it's three things after, granted, this is primarily out of the US, but it mirrors us very, very well. And from my vantage point as a banker, I can attest to this, right? The first one is little or no savings.
Little or no savings. And what do you call little or no savings? $100, $1,000?
Okay.
Because there are some statistics that speak to the idea that most people have less than $1,000 in the bank.
And that statistic sounds about right. Yes. Little or no savings. The benchmark is that if you can't cover a basic emergency, if you go to your car in the morning, you can't start it, the battery is dead. If you can't replace the battery, that's what it means. You have little or no savings. It's as simple as that. Your tire gets flat, you can't replace it. That's a problem. Right?
So if we're living paycheck to paycheck, and if we have more month than check, we might be in trouble.
Absolutely.
All right. But someone might say, well, that's not my fault. My boss doesn't pay me enough to have extra tires, right?
So, no, if you understand budgeting, there are two sides to a budget, right?
Got you.
And you always focus on one side. So you have the income side, you have the expense side, and you're always so focused on the expense side that you forget about the income. So if your boss doesn't pay you enough, then maybe you can consider a second job.
Okay.
Maybe you can consider a side hustle. Maybe you can sell some of those high-end handbags and iPhones that you have somewhere. There are so many things that you can do.
And 'tis the season, right? So if you have a mango tree in your yard and
sell the mangoes,
sell some mangoes.
And that sounds simple, but that's really a part of it. That's really a part of it.
Yes. So we have some habits that may be keeping us broke, and whatever your situation is, what you're saying is we can look creatively as to what we can do to maybe help us. Maybe if the boss is not paying you enough, then what can you do to make some more money?
Right.
All right. So we're working through some technical issues in the studio. Again, if you are having a good time listening to us, let us know. Ask your questions. And again, the number in studio is 945-9029, 945-9029. Let me say that again. 945-9029. If you are enjoying the conversation, or if you have your own testimony, or you want to ask a question, please feel free to call that number. So back to the first thing that you said. So the first challenge that you're saying that most persons have is they don't have enough savings or savings at all.
Right.
Why is that a problem? Why can't I just live off the land and eat mangoes?
Well, can you? or how well has that been going for you? Right. So there are a couple ways to look at it. One, if you can't cover your expenses or your basic emergency expenses, those moments you go, oh gosh, I got to do this, right? Can you cover your children's school fee come September?
Yep.
Can you cover your car insurance when it's due, right? These are the basic things that you have to think about, and based on your income, you have to plan for things.
Okay.
Right.
So many times, these things that, especially if they happen once a year, we think about them once a year, but what I'm hearing you saying that we may need to start planning for them, so we make sure that when we get to that time of year, they're there, and that's where at that time we're scrambling to find it.
Absolutely. And if you extrapolate that and take it a little bit further, what you're going to find is that if you don't save to your retirement,
you get to retirement and there's nothing there, just like there's nothing there for the car insurance, and you have to go hustle and figure it out at that point.
And when you're old and destitute, that's not a good place to be.
Okay. All right. So I'm in that space now, right? What do I do? How do we navigate from, hey, I didn't plan, I don't have enough savings, this is today, the car battery hasn't died yet, but it may die. How do I get from being there to no longer being in that space?
Well, it starts with a plan, right? You have to have a vision as to where you want to be. Are you comfortable where you are? So the first thing, a couple questions you could ask yourself.
Okay.
The first one is, what am I doing now that is preventing me from saving?
Got you.
The second question could be, what could I do differently to start saving? Right? And then perhaps a third question is, what sacrifices am I willing to make to build my savings?
And I like those questions, because on this show we focus on accountability. And if I say it is my boss, then I can't do anything to impact the boss. The only thing that I have control over is myself. So what do I want? What can I do? And what sacrifices I'm willing to make to help me to navigate puts that accountability, puts that responsibility back on me, which means I'm the one who can drive the ship or navigate out of this problem.
Also, the research also shows that the paycheck to paycheck is not a phenomenon of the poor or the person who earns, say, $1,000. The latest surveys, in fact, I saw it last night, I was shocked. Persons in the US who earn over 200,000, was 100 and something thousand last year, over 200,000 per month. Not per year, sorry. Ooh, per month.
200,000 per month, then you're not, okay.
200,000 per year are living paycheck to paycheck.
Wow.
So the paycheck to paycheck phenomenon has nothing to do with income.
Wow. That's the big headline. So persons may have thought, okay, fine, I can't save or I can't have savings because I only make $1,000. But you're saying even people who earn up to $15,000 a month are still themselves living paycheck to paycheck.
Absolutely.
Right? So even if we don't learn to manage the habits or navigate the habits, it doesn't matter how much extra your boss pays you. Or even if you sell extra mangoes, you may just find yourself in the same position.
It's just the habits that we have. Yes.
All right.
To our financial habits.
All right. So it sounds like we need some mindset homework then.
Absolutely.
How do we break that mindset? How do we improve that mindset so that we can save? All right. What do you have for us?
Well, the biggest part of the mindset is the sacrifice, right? What you perhaps need to do, the first thing you perhaps need to do is, do you even budget? What are your habits? What are your financial habits? Do you budget? Do you know how much you spend? Do you know how much you're spending? Do you know what you're spending on? I don't like this one, but I'll say it because it will resonate. Do you buy Starbucks every day? How much do you spend on Starbucks?
Or
no, I don't advocate that they shouldn't buy Starbucks. I think you should do whatever you want. I believe in the abundance lifestyle, but management comes before abundance.
And I guess for the audience here in the Caymans, do you go to Foster's and have Foster's breakfast, then go to lunch and then have dinner out? What can you do to navigate those things instead of just spending? Right? What's that? $10 a breakfast, $25 a lunch, and then maybe $50 for dinner.
Yes.
You've just spent out $100. Double check my math, but you've just spent quite a bit in one day.
Okay. Multiply that per week,
and
month,
then for the month,
per year. Extrapolate that per year, and then you start to see what it really means to your finances.
Got you. So it sounds like the budget then helps us to bring into focus what we're actually spending, because if we're just spending it today, I just spent that today. But when you see that put together over time, and you're saying, hey, that's thousands of dollars that you're spending at different stores. Could you save those thousands of dollars so they would be in your bank account at the end of the year? Yeah.
So we have to be mindful of these things, because remember, small holes sink big ships, right? So that $5 expense per day, and a $5 here, a $10 there, a $7 there, it all adds up, right? And it comes back to haunt you. You're gonna pay the price for all that spending and no saving at some point, right?
So $5 a day is $25, right? And then there's 52 weeks in a year times 52. So just by saving $5, just $5 a day, and it's not even $5 a day. So instead of buying that extra bowl of porridge, if you save that $5, you have $1,300 at the end of the year. So the statistics points to most people don't have $1,000 in their bank account. All you need to do is to save $5 a day. What can you do to stop spending $5 each day today, so that at the end of this year you have $1,000 in your security funds or in your savings?
Right. And if you budget as well and you pay attention to your budget, you'll also see where your money's going. And then you're gonna go, did I spend that much on movies this month? Did I spend that much at happy hour?
And then if you're looking at it and you go, what value did it add to my life? Did it really? And if you've enjoyed it, if you've enjoyed the spend, then by all means you may be able to keep it. But if you would enjoy having that money in your bank account a little bit more than the spend, then it might be worthwhile to make the adjustment.
Well, there are a couple of things about savings. Now, savings is what they call savings of sacrifice, actually.
Yes.
It's one of the sacrificial elements that we overlook. And that's why it's so hard to save, because we like to do things now. We all want the instant gratification, right? And then there are some cover stories that we tell ourselves, right?
Yes.
And we love this. Oh, I'll save some more when I'm earning more. Right?
Or my favorite sometimes, the YOLO lifestyle, you only live once, right? So in the YOLO lifestyle, we might say, I don't want to save, or I might not save because someone else is going to enjoy it and I might just miss out on it. So I only live once. Why not just enjoy it now? But what we're saying is, while you want to enjoy your life now, you still want to plan for tomorrow. And especially if you want a family, especially if you have people who are depending on you, you may need to put something away so that their security is not hindered or hampered by your you only live once lifestyle mindset.
And there's something else you should look at. The life expectancy is actually improving. Look around you and see how people are aging around you, how long they're living. So while you may want to spend as a YOLOist now, you live only once, you're going to spend. Think about the other side. Yes. What happens if you live until you're 80?
and that's interesting, because even with retirement, where it is, once upon a time, the statistics used to point to maybe most persons didn't make it to retirement.
That's
and
right.
Then once they made it to retirement, it used to be maybe 5 years after retirement persons would check out. But now persons are living way into their 80s and 90s, and you're saying, hey, do I have enough to take me there when I have no income coming in?
That's right. And so that's how you have to look at it. So even if you want to spend now, that's fine. But balance, do a balance. You know, what happens if I live till I'm 79, 80, 90? You need to make some provisions for that.
Yes. All right. So I imagine it's a whole thought process to make sure that we have enough savings for 90, and we'll probably have to get into that on another show, because that in and of itself may be its own beast.
Oh, absolutely.
Investments, talking about not just savings but investments, and then
That's right.
maybe even setting up some passive income to continue. But that's for another show. So we've talked about savings. Is there more there that we need to understand about savings?
Well,
because rainy days happen, and especially now it's the rainy season. This weekend looks like it's going to be a rainy one.
As part of the solution, what you want to do is to find simple ways that will not affect your daily lifestyle.
Okay.
Right? And one way that actually works is if you can do a transfer at source, which is at the payroll. Get your boss, your HR, to transfer some funds, small amount, $100
yes,
per month to an account somewhere. It will make a difference, because if you do that per month, then it's going to be $1,200 per month. And you can start looking at your income and start making percentages and say, okay, I'm going to save 10% for. Just look at it, assess it, make a commitment, and just start.
Plant the mindset seed so you can see how it actually impacts your life. Oh, and I like what you said in that, get HR to do it.
Yeah.
Because sometimes when I see the money, I have it.
If it doesn't hit your account, you tend not to
think about it. And so I may not necessarily find a purpose for it.
Put it to a special account. Even at another bank, if possible. Right?
And not have I imagine that also includes not having a debit card or a card that makes it easy to access.
And even avoid online banking so you don't see it.
So put that someplace far away so you don't think about it, and then go at the end of the year and go, oh wow, this happened. And that in and of itself may incentivize you or excite you enough to go, I did this? What if I doubled it?
Yep, right.
I didn't feel it then, maybe I won't feel it if I double it.
Yes. And as you start to see it grow, it does something else to your mindset. It makes you become way more comfortable, less anxious. It makes your life a lot less frustrating. And perhaps most of all, that guy, Brother Murphy, he moves out of your house when you start saving.
Right? Because as persons save, this seems to be a constant theme, as you mentioned, Murphy's Law. Whenever you put some money away, something seems to happen that puts a call on the money. And persons go, well, I have the money. If auntie is sick, the car is broke, this is going on, then why shouldn't I use it, right? But then the question is, when the money wasn't there, what happened?
Well, a couple of things. So while you have the money, you should define upfront what you're going to use it for. So it's not everything. Family is important, but you have to start to really understand. What does this mean? Is this for my immediate family? Is this for my extended family? Is it for my family in the country where I'm from? What is it? And you have to define it.
Fear. Right? So you know where things come from. And I just got a message as we're thinking, and I think Nisha said it earlier today. Where do I save? Because it seems as I'm saving in the bank seems to keep taking its cut. And the money seems to be shrinking instead of growing. I put in there, but what I put in there, I don't get back out at the end of the month. Fees,
Okay.
bank fees, man. You're a banker. This is your field.
Bank fees. I've never heard about that. Anyway, I tell you what. Because you save, there are other things you should learn.
Yes.
Now, some banks, some of the more progressive banks, I may add, they will
Shameless plug right there.
they will give you accounts where if you maintain a certain balance, you pay no fees.
Oh, so there we go. A little hack there. You find out what the minimum balance is for your account, and once you maintain that minimum balance, then fees disappear.
Fees disappear.
Wow. You heard it right here, ladies and gentlemen, on the Wrecking Trade. Find out what the minimum balance on your account is and try to keep that minimum balance. And then even that $12 every month that the bank may take disappears, and that goes to your savings.
And by then, too, you may start earning more interest than the fees. So therefore, you'll come out ahead.
Wow. Wow. So even the bank helping you to get to that savings number will actually help you to grow a little bit faster.
That's right.
All right. So we've looked extensively at savings. What's the next one? What's the next habit not having enough savings? That's the one that is hampering us. Trying to
Okay.
get there will help us to navigate away from it. What's the next one?
Number 2 is having too much debt. 5 loans: a credit card, auto loan, a mortgage, personal loan, something else, or 2 or 3 credit cards, stuff like that. Just too much debt.
Okay. All right. So you mentioned a couple in there because people are going, my mortgage is good. I mean, I need to drive, so the car loan is good. And well, you know, why not have a vacation and say, you know, take out that extra loan from the credit union to get that vacation that you always dreamed of? Why not?
You can, but you know,
It has a cost.
Loans, and particularly credit cards, they're just like that friend who they come to you and they make you promises. I got your back, buddy.
Yes.
And then when the times comes, they disappear, right? When you rack up your debt, what is going to happen is that what you're going to find is that your disposable income is going to get less and less, which is also now going to impact your savings. Remember,
Yes.
I said that these things in combination are devastating, so it's not going to affect your savings. So you have lots of debt and you can't save. Double whammy immediately.
And the interest on the debt in and of itself becomes something that becomes savings for the bank, because now the bank is growing and now you have to find the money to pay that interest in addition to the vacation or whatever it is that you did. And I think the average, what's the average interest that you pay, just so we can let the person know, what's the average interest that you pay on a mortgage over the term of the mortgage?
Before 2022, it would have been about 5%. But then that was a COVID-related low,
Got you.
which is not a realistic low. The average now is going to be somewhere between 6 and 8%. In fact, 6 and 9%. Because if you understand the interest rate market, our interest rate here in the Cayman Islands is driven by prime, US prime,
Yes.
which is 8.5%. So in other words, that's the starting point for negotiation. And so if it's costing the bank 8.5% to raise the funds to lend you, they're not going to lend you at 8.5.
Okay, because they need to get their cut and the fees alone won't cut it.
Yes.
So even based on the 5%, when you multiply that through 30 years, 5% a year, that looks like 150%. So when you buy a house, the interest will cost more than the house.
Yes. I hear you, but as a banker, I don't like that statement. I'll tell you why.
Tell us.
I'll tell you why. You have to pay for anything that you consume or use.
Yes.
You wear clothes, you drive a car, you have to pay.
Yes.
The price of money is what you're paying, right? So the way around it, one is not to borrow, which doesn't quite work. That's the first thing. Borrow less, which is one, or pay a lot quicker. So these are the ways that you can actually get around that if you must borrow.
Because based on the same example then, every year that you cut off your mortgage saves you 5% in interest.
That is correct.
So the quicker you pay off, the less interest that you end up paying.
Right.
So it may feel a little bit uncomfortable to pay extra on the mortgage,
Right.
but that extra is actually saving you money on the back end.
Right. So the statement that I'm paying twice what I borrowed, it doesn't work because you're gonna have to live somewhere, right? So don't think about it like that. It's an expense. You drive a car, it's an expense. You You can drive a high-end German car, or you can drive a Honda Fit, which is the national car of Cayman.
Yes.
Right? And the prices are different.
Vastly different.
And therefore, that's one way to look at it as well. So
Okay.
you can buy a smaller house. You can borrow less. Or you can save more, so your down payment is higher and you borrow less as well. So there are other things, right?
So within this space, then there are a host of things that you can do to manage your budget as far as where you want to live, what you want to drive, so that you make sure that you're not living outside of the means. And even if you're making $100,000 a year, you're not spending it all.
Right.
You get a chance to make sure that savings is being accumulated in there.
Plus, there's another way to look at it. There are some benchmarks in how you borrow and how you use your money.
Okay.
So, if you're spending more than, say, 40% of your income paying loans, you've got a problem.
But right away, that triggers something in my head. Because the banks are offering all of these fancy loans, and the mortgage loan alone, they go, yeah, man, you can get up to 45% of your income for your mortgage.
Yes.
Which means you have the house, and you're telling me I'm already in problem. But the bank put me there. Well, they didn't. They made the offer. It was my choice to accept it or not.
Right. Because, like I said, remember, they made you an offer to say, I can lend you $500,000 to buy your house. I said, okay. I'm glad for your offer. I won't take your 500. I don't want to take 3. But it assumes that you'd have been planning and you were saving. And
There you go.
do that.
Because someone goes in and they go, oh, the bank is willing to give me 500. Why don't I just take it? But you're
Yes.
saying, going back to number one, the budget. Sure, the bank will give you, and you may be stretched. But if you think clearly about what you want to do, about how much you're willing to spend and what that looks like long term, then you can make the decision of, I don't need the 5. Yeah. This is the number that lives closer inside my budget, and I'm more comfortable driving. Well, maybe not the Fit, but maybe a slightly bigger Honda, but maybe not the German one.
No, drive the Fit. Right? But, and there are ways of thinking about this, because I can even tell you my personal story. When I bought my house at first, well, I didn't have enough savings for the down payment, so I borrowed from the credit union and from the mortgage company too. So it's a double. And it was deliberate because I was in banking, so I understood what I was doing. But what it did is, after my first house, I'll never forget this, after I paid my mortgage and I could buy food and gas and pay my utilities, please don't invite me out because I can't afford it.
But that's a conscious choice, though.
It was conscious. And so I lived that way for 18 months. 18 months, right? I was pretty young. Got a promotion soon after, got another promotion, things like that, and your salary increase. So you're able to come out of that cycle very quickly. So again, perhaps if you even do it early, that also helps you.
So that's an interesting perspective. As you're looking at it, you've done the budgeting and you're clear on your process. You're saying you can be a little bit more, take a little bit more risk, as long as you're clear on what the risks are
and know what sacrifice you're going to make.
And what sacrifices you're willing to make.
It meant that there was no happy hour for me for 18 months.
There you go. And that had to be it. So you couldn't,
or vacations.
So you couldn't be in it and then go, okay, fine, I'm doing it, but no, I have to stretch myself even further to keep doing happy hour or to keep doing vacations. You made a decision for this time. I'm just making these sacrifices because I'm making an investment in my long-term future.
Yes. And again, it goes back to the question. What's the one thing that I can give up so I can maintain this, so I can get to the next level?
And you decided on happy hour and vacation.
Yes, you have to make sacrifice is important.
But also in the middle of that, as you're making the sacrifice, going back to what you said earlier about the income side, you also made an investment in working hard or even upskilling yourself so that the promotion could be one of the things in the future that could give you a little uptick in the income number.
In fact, and then that's how I got into lecturing as well, because I needed the additional income. So I started lecturing, and that's where that started. So it was out of necessity.
Fair enough.
Which has grown into a love.
Which invites us to ask person. Remember, the number is 945-9029. You may be in a job, a full-time job, and it keeps you pretty busy. But what is in your hand? Besides the mangoes that you can go, okay, fine, maybe I can make an extra 100 or 200 or even $500 a month that I can add to my savings, or maybe even put towards the mortgage to cut that down a little bit faster.
Yes. And so I'll just share some what I call shocking statistics with you, right? So in the US, over 45% of persons have debt payments of over 40% of their income, which indicates that there is a lack of savings and there is also a lack of financial planning. That's really what it indicates.
Wow.
Right?
So if you're in this position, you're not alone. It is connected to mindset, but it may also be connected to how we've been cultured, how we've been raised. I hear many persons saying, "Oh, I don't want to take out a loan from the bank because I don't want to owe the bank anything."
Right.
Is that a good idea or a bad idea?
Well, it depends. If you want to live like a hermit, probably is a good idea.
Okay.
If you want to project out and make a really good plan as to where you are and where you'd like to get to and how you're going to get there, then there are other options that you can use.
Leverage.
Yes.
Leverage. And that's what the bank does. You may save 15 years just to get the deposit, or you may just be able to go to the credit union and get it, but know that you're making a sacrifice over the next 18 months in order to be able to have the leverage, use the leverage wisely so that you can get a jump on your earnings.
Again, your mortgage amount is important, and so personal mistake again. So I got that house, and your income is going up, so you want another house, right? So you sell and you buy a new one, and now you move from a 2-bedroom to a 4-bedroom. Why do you buy a 4-bedroom? Because you have families gonna come over at some point, right?
That's always been an interesting one to me. You buy a bigger house with all of these bedrooms for the family who may come, and they may come once a year and spend 2 weeks.
There you go. You hit the nail on the head. You don't need it.
You don't.
Actually, it is cheaper if they come and you're at the risk to put them up in a hotel. It's actually cheaper to do that,
right?
If you must.
If you must, you can put them up in a hotel. You're paying an extra $2,000 a month on the mortgage, and then of course the upkeep for that.
Yes.
And then, but it's not going to cost you that much, because that times 12 is a lot. It's not going to cost you that much to put them up in the Ritz,
right?
For a week.
And if it comes to that, I mean, you've got earbeds, so you know.
And interestingly enough, when you think about it that way, it also presents another opportunity, because when you decide to put them up for the week, then that gets to be your vacation too. You get to spend a week in the Ritz yourself and give yourself a nice little extra benefit, and still realize savings instead of pouring double into a mortgage that rarely gets used.
Although it's not necessarily all downside, because if you do have a 4-bedroom house and you only use 2, you could consider renting 2.
That's an opportunity.
But we don't like people in our space. So that also creates other challenges. Again, what sacrifices
are you willing to make to be on the path towards financial stability and then success? All right. The numbers again to call, 945-9029. I think maybe I'm going through too fast. I know there's a bunch of people who want to call in. 945-9029. What's your financial story? What's your financial confession that you want to make tonight? All right, so we've looked at savings, right? We just looked at, what did we look at?
Too much debt.
Too much debt.
Too many loans.
Not enough savings, too much debt. And when you put those things together, that's a heart attack right there.
It's a bad combination.
It's a bad combination. So what is number 3?
Number 3. This is the one that we all love. And we are all guilty of this at some point. Well, some more than others. And it goes back to perhaps the most fundamental of them all. In fact, this is the one hack that if you do this one, it pivots your life from bad to good, almost. And
by itself, it can balance out the other two, even if you still have them. Okay, yes. All right.
And that's one is we spend more than we earn. Everybody knows that. It is simple, and we know it.
Yes.
But we don't do it.
So we spend more than we earn, and if we just flip that around, even if you have extra debt, even if you don't have enough savings, by virtue of the fact that you're spending less than you earn. No, I think the problem is spending more than you earn is the problem. So if you flip it around and spend less, that means I'm making $1,000. If I'm spending $900 right away, I'm seeing an extra $100 that can be used to pay off the debt or go into savings or split 50-50.
Right. Yes. In fact, you mentioned that. Let us just backtrack a little bit to that. There are a couple of things with debt as well. You should, if you find yourself in too much debt, what you need to do is look at it and consider things like, so if you have 3 credit cards or auto loan, consider debt consolidation, stuff like that. Right?
People don't talk about that a lot here in the Cayman Islands. What does that look like here, debt consolidation? Because I think, okay, CNB has my car loan and Proven has my bank loan.
My mortgage.
And
RBC has
the credit cards. What does debt consolidation look like?
And they have another loan at the credit union, right? What that looks like is, so if, let's assume you have a mortgage, a credit card, an auto loan, or 2 credit cards, auto loan, and a vacation loan, right? The mortgage tend to stand alone. It's probably, you probably could consolidate it, everything with your mortgage if there's enough equity to do so.
Okay.
And the bank will allow you to do it, and you're within the age range to do it.
And I imagine that the mortgage loans, the mortgage interest rate would be a little bit lower than the credit card interest rate, so there might be some value there.
There'll be a lot of value there if you can do it, so something to consider. The only downside to that is that people do that over 5 years, which erodes
all of the savings and equity.
All the good things you have done, it erodes it, right? So again, that points to discipline. So that's one way to look at it. So what that consolidation looks like is, if you have a mortgage, let us say your mortgage is $1,000 per month, your auto loan is $500, your credit card is $250, and your vacation loans are $250.
$2,000.
That's $2,000.
There you go.
If you were to consolidate those loans, what you'll be able to do is, usually you're able to, 1, get it at a lower interest rate, and 2, lower your monthly payment. And when you lower your monthly payment, what you would have done is improved your disposable income.
Okay.
That's also quite key.
So if you're able to readjust it from the 2,000 to even 1,600, then there's an extra $400 in your pocket now.
Yes.
That can be used to pay off the debt a little bit faster because there's value in that. No?
Well, actually, you're right, but I'm saying no deliberately. No. Start your emergency fund.
Start your emergency fund. Oh, okay. All right. Let's weigh that. Let's weigh that out. Yes.
Good questions. Let's explain that. So
the question was, how do you consolidate?
Yes. So you have that auto loan, that credit card, and that vacation loan, right? Let us say the auto loan is $25,000, your vacation loan is $10,000, and your credit card is $5,000. You put them all together as one loan. And then again, hopefully you're going to pay off your credit card and either cut it up or reduce the limit. Because when you don't reduce the limit, then it goes right back up, inevitably. But in today's age and today's lifestyle, you may need a credit card, because some hotels these days when you travel will not do it. So you may need one. So it's more of utility. So you can have your credit card. But when you put the other loans together as one, what it does now, so it moves you from 3 loans to 1 loan.
Got you.
It reduces your monthly payment. You make it at a better rate. Well, if you're a consolidating credit card, you can get a better rate. Don't even think about it.
Okay, because the credit card interest rates are usually pretty high.
Pretty high, right.
Wait, is there some inside hack? You're a banker. Do banks want me to consolidate? Is that something that I can go and just ask the banker, or is that like a secret backdoor? You have to enter a code with a secret handshake?
Not really. If you have a good relationship manager, they'll advise you.
Okay. All right. So don't just go to the bank and talk to the first person you see. Find a relationship manager, someone who can be on the financial path with you.
Yes, someone who can help you. So they will guide you on that. I don't think the bankers are that bad. At least not the bank I work with.
All right. You work with the clients.
You along the right path.
Okay.
Yeah. Because it takes you somewhere. If the customer doesn't succeed, the bank can't succeed. So there's no point in taking you down the wrong path, because your loan is going to go bad.
Oh, okay.
Pay,
so there's an interest on the bank to kind of keep you solvent, so that you can keep paying the loan for the full 30 years. So the bank doesn't really want to repossess your house.
The bank has no interest in
repossessing your house.
The bank is not in the business of repossessing houses.
They're in the interest of collecting the interest on the house.
Yes.
Fair enough.
It's in your interest to pay it off quickly.
All right. So we have a couple minutes left. So let's see if we can jump into number 3. And then, because that one sounds like that gives us a lot of boost to get started. Because right away, you said we could get to the emergency fund and then maybe start paying off the loan.
Yes.
Why? I wanted to ask the question, why get to the emergency fund before paying off some of the smaller debts?
Because Murphy is going to live right next to you.
Got you.
And until you get Murphy out of your house, you will never move forward.
Got you. So what I hear you saying is that you might want to pay off the credit card, and if you don't have the emergency fund, an emergency can happen, and then you have to run up the credit card again.
Even further, right?
Okay.
So
fair enough.
That emergency fund is your safety net. That
Yes.
should always be there.
That keeps you out of running back up the debt.
And then you can move on to the debt afterwards.
Fair enough. Fair enough. All right. So
No.
last word on number 3.
The last one now is where we spend more than we earn, right? And usually there is some reasons for this, right? The YOLOist, I deserve this, regardless of the consequences, right? Why should I live and I can't see what I'm living for, is the things I hear. I'm gone on a vacation in 3 years, I need to do something, right? These are the things that we hear.
Or as soon as you get the bonus, it's Christmas, why not just spend the bonus?
Oh my God, yes, that scares me. Yes. So it comes down to lifestyle, it comes down to how you view money.
Yes.
In fact, when it comes to financial management, the one question you can always ask someone, in fact, I'll ask a question and I'll put it out here. If you were to get $10,000 right now, free and clear, what would you do with it? That answer tells you where you'll end up in 10 years.
So if you're sitting at home and your first thought was to invest it,
Good.
you're in an investment space. If your first thought was to buy a new car,
Or if your first thought was to buy that new iPhone you've always wanted, or that Gucci bag you saw on sale, you're down the wrong path.
you may be down the wrong path. You might need to reconsider your life choices.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So don't spend more than you earn. And someone says you can say anything that you want. You were talking about earning $8,000. It's hard to do that when you're earning $1,000 and you need to live someplace.
No, right. That's a good point, because I don't want to sit here and make comments that doesn't reflect the realities of this life, right? Here in the Cayman Islands, rent is horrendously high. In fact, it's shockingly high.
Yes.
Right? But bank rates are actually high as well, and housing prices are high. So
everything is conspiring against us.
Yes. So it comes about. So it comes to a couple things. Again, the sacrifice and the income. Always look back at your income. Don't only focus on your expenses. Pay attention to your income.
So that's important to note, because sometimes we think about the luxuries that we give ourselves as just the extra watch or the iPhone. But what you're saying too is that, hey, you may need to make a determination in the short term. I may want to live in that nicer space, even for rent. But if I can't afford it, I might need to make the sacrifice, build up some emergency fund, or increase my income and live in a smaller, more modest place for now until I can get to this place where I actually can cover that cost without it being a pain point.
Right. So typically for the persons that I've helped in the past, and for persons who have actually made the switch, what I find is that if you give yourself, if you say take a 2 or 3 years break from all the spending and to just be conscious and just do the right things for 3 years, it sets you up for the rest of your life.
Just 3 years.
Just 3 years.
A 3-year financial diet gives you all you need.
Yes.
For the rest of your life, gives you the and I'm imagining by that it's not just the financial growth during that time, it's the habits that you create and it's the mindset that you break.
You now have control, you now have great habits, you have a better mindset, and you would have killed that instant gratification monkey.
3 years. 3 years is a good time. You starve him to death. He must
starve
be
him
dead.
to death. Yeah. And so that works. It's all it's all about the mindset and what you're really prepared to sacrifice in the short term, so you can live the life you want in the long term. That's what it's about. So it's not about trying to deprive you of what's happening, because I ain't into that myself, right? But you have to make the right choice at the right time, right? And so the younger you are, it is the easier for you to make these choices, and the better time for you to make these choices.
Because time is the luxury that you have when you have youth. You have more horizon to go, okay, fine, I can save smaller and still get there.
But as we say, youth is often wasted on the young.
You only get smart when you get older, and so by that time the youth is already spent. All right.
As usual, I normally have a question at the end of the show.
Yes.
I want to live my life today.
YOLO.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
What,
Me too. So you know.
what would you recommend? A bird in the hand versus two in the bushes.
Yes.
I want to live my best life today.
You want to eat your bird? No.
Yeah. What do I do?
Okay. All right.
And is that the wrong way to?
All right. I'll ask you some questions and then.
Yeah.
Is your mom still alive?
No.
Okay. All right.
Neither my grandmother.
Hope it's not too hard a question. At what age did she die?
65.
Okay. Your father?
My father is still alive.
How old is he?
87.
Okay. What if you live to be your father's age? And you spend it all today?
No. There's no way it's possible for me to spend it all today.
Okay.
Why not?
Because I can't spend next year's money today. I haven't even earned it yet.
Okay. So, all right, good point. So you can't spend next year's money.
Nor next week's.
Are you spending it as you get it though? At the same rate at which you earn it, are you spending it?
Because part of what we've talked about today.
You're asking a question. I ask you, what if I want to live my best life today?
Okay, all right, let's answer that.
Wait, before we transition, because
I'm not saying that I'm living my best life today.
Oh,
I'm
what if you
asking,
want? Okay.
what is it a wrong feeling to want to live my best life today?
Okay. All right,
Because today is what I see.
yes,
I'm making
and it's
the
the only
best.
thing that you have accounted for.
I'm making the best of today.
Yes, because part of the challenge in it, and you mentioned it earlier, in living your best life today, is that once upon a time, your best life used to be exactly what you mentioned. You can't spend next week's money, and you can't spend next year's money.
Yes.
But with credit cards and loans, you actually are spending next year's money.
Spend next 30 years money.
You spend the house that you just bought, you just spent 30 years into the future. And so if your income drops today, you now have to figure out where 30 years of money comes from, or we're going to lose the house and we're further back than we were.
If I'm practicing not spending more than I earn, and I'm still saving, and I'm able to live my best life today, is that the perfect balance?
Oh, that sounds
There
great.
we go. There we go.
That sounds great.
So there you have it from Dwayne, ladies and gentlemen. The perfect balance to live your best life is this. Don't spend more than you earn. Live your best life within your means.
Be content.
Be content with what you have. Don't overspend, because if you're overspending, you're living someone else's best life.
Yes.
That's
But-
not yours. You're living the bank's best life.
Spoiler alert,
Yes.
that's not how we think.
Mm.
That's not how we live. That's not what the evidence shows.
So that means we may need some help to be able to navigate that, to be able to undo some of the bad learning that we've had, to unlearn some of the bad habits that we've made. As we wrap up, final thoughts on how do you help persons? You mentioned relationship officers at the bank. How do you, or persons like yourself, help persons to navigate that path?
Well, as a banker, I would give you advice in terms. What I like to show you is the implications of what you're doing,
Yes.
to make sure you understand what you're doing. And sometimes from a, oh, that's not a good idea. Like, that's right. So you try to show them what you're doing. They don't necessarily take the advice, but that's how you do it. For those persons that I help on a one-on-one basis, the first thing you do is try to find out what their goals are.
Okay.
And then you sit together and you hatch out a plan that fits within their lifestyle. Because unlike what most persons believe, is that you don't necessarily have to change your lifestyle. You can still go to happy hour, you can still go on a vacation, but you can do these things very deliberately, right? Because if you earn above a certain threshold, you usually can do anything you want to do, right? If you're a single male, well, or female, if you're a single person earning that magical $8,000 now, and your let us say your rent or your mortgage is less than $3,000,
Which is maybe not so. I was speaking to someone just the last week. Mortgage was about $4,000, $5,000.
All right, if you earn for 8,000 your mortgage is for, you still have 4. You're single. Notice I said single, because if you have 3 kids and a wife, then that's a whole different thing. If you're single, you're still ahead of the game, I think. You can still be ahead of the game.
You can still live on $4,000.
Yes, because you can.
And take vacations. All right. So you mentioned helping persons one-on-one. What does that look like? They've been listening to you. They've heard the things that you're saying. This is hard. How can I get help? How do they reach out to you? How do they contact? How do you help them?
Yes, it's hard. It's very hard. And so it is. But remember, like, to think about Usain Bolt, right? We all see him running that 9.78, and we say he's great.
Yes.
But he has to train. He has to do something in the background to make that happen, right? So to live the life that you want, there's something that you're gonna have to do in the background to get you there. So what I do is I help them to look at that, what that means for them. What's it? In fact, if you listen to watch Usain Bolt's biography, he says running, he did say, this is not for me, running is not for me, right? Because the work is so hard in the background that it kills him, right? But he just had to do it, because you have to do what you need to do to get where you need to get to. So it all starts in the mind, I would say. So the mindset is the first thing that I'd work on. Then you understand the goals. Then you start to break things down so they can understand and so it can actually work. Okay. And it's not about giving up your lifestyle. It's not about not buying that Starbucks if you want. You can do these things, but you can do them with moderation and if you're quite deliberate about it. And you're gonna have to make a sacrifice. Never forget. Always remember, there is always a sacrifice.
Always a sacrifice. So, again, is there a number that persons can reach you? Is there a website that they contact you? How do persons contact you?
My website is reimaginefinances.com. It's my community where I help persons like you. If you're interested in understanding how to navigate this. So for example, I help persons who have too much debt. Where do I go? Persons who can't save, single mothers living on a single income with their 3 kids. I help all of these persons. Again, it's something that I enjoyed. I have a few persons who have converted from. There's this one single mom who was 3 kids, who I'd say she had to hide from her bankers for a while, and after 6 months, she could stop hiding, and after 2 years, she could stand up with dignity and do what she wanted.
Wow.
And then became a millionaire.
Actually, she's not a millionaire, but she lives comfortably in her own house, and she can afford to send her kids to school and afford to pay the utilities and put gas in her car.
So she can live her best life instead of hiding from the bank.
Because the life she had before was hiding from the bank. She was earning $2,400 at the time, and she was paying like $1,600 in loans. She couldn't live a lifestyle, right?
Got you.
So it's that transition that we look at and how we move you from point A to point B.
All right, there you have it, friends. So if you want accountability, it starts with making sure that we can live our best life while managing our expenses in the here and now, managing our situation in the here and now, so that however long we live, whoever God blesses us to walk with us on that journey, they do have that protection, they do have that security, because you've made that investment into it. This is the Wrecking Trade. So the numbers to call, so to reach the email that you mentioned again is reimaginefinances.com, reimaginefinances.com. Reach out to Linville so that you too can chart a course, chart a path to finding where your financial fitness may reside. Until next week, when we have another awesome conversation, this has been the Wrecking Trade.
Ciao.
Welcome to The Wrecking Trade, the radio show that provides a platform for a deeper understanding of issues affecting men in the Cayman Islands. Join us as we explore the low enrollment of men and boys in the college classroom, the absence of men in the church, and the absence of fathers in the home. Join the conversation as we help men find their place in the modern world through engaging interviews with experts and members of the community. We provide a clear picture of what healthy masculinity looks like as an example for boys and girls. Our mission